What's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Well, if you are Sean Diddy Combs, you are still sitting there lying, making up stories. Once again, I will say this. Diddy spent his whole life, in my opinion, being a pathological liar, okay? All these scholarships he gave out, where are they? All this good he did in the community, where is it? Besides giving out free turkeys with Young Miami trailing after him while he was free, what exactly did he do? Well, it looks like his tall tales have followed him to Fort Sticks, and people are calling cap, and the federal government is calling cap on Diddy's assertion that he not only bankroll funded, but fed over 1,000 inmates. Again, let me just say this before we get into the reasons why, right? To me, Diddy is a pathological liar. He might actually be a narcissist. And narcissists get away with a lot when no one's watching. But now that literally Diddy is in a real life, all eyes on you situation, how are you still lying? And how are you expecting to get away with it? At least, how are you expecting to get away with it when I'm here? Listen, this is number 2,853, never to believe a word that comes out of Diddy's family spokesperson's mouth. He is still trying to run PR. He's still trying to look like this benevolent, caring person. And people are calling him out on his Thanksgiving lie. They said not only did he not feed those inmates, but it was logistically impossible to do what he said. And his representative, which Judah, whatever, whenever we meet them, first they said Diddy wasn't caught drinking, then his license, then his thing got extended. Then he said, oh no, he was talking to his lawyers. No, he was talking to family members. And something happened with his phone privileges, and something happened with Diddy's commissary privileges too. Now they come out with this story planted in TMZ, not a real magazine, because no one else can verify this. CBS News, you know what to do, but planted in TMZ to make and rehab his image like he's doing so much to take our minds off of what happened with the drinking incident, and we find out that's all a lie. I said this once and I said it again. If I see why Diddy is thinking about giving away his last penny for a pardon, because if Diddy can get out, if he can get out and a pardon, that's his best bet. Because if he is let out early on work release, house arrest, I don't know, he ain't surviving those 5 years probation. I just don't see how. So listen to this, why they said this, all right? And this comes directly from somebody that has innate knowledge into not just federal prisons, but Fort Dix, okay? They're saying that there's a lot of reason to doubt what Diddy said. Federal prisons operate under extremely strict rules regarding food handling, sanitation, and inmate organization. 1, contraband and food preparation. I know you're gonna be like, Tisa, but whatever, they be cooking whatever. I know, but nothing as wide scale as literally distributing dinner to all 1,000 inmates at the same time. Listen. Inmates are generally forbidden from preparing large organized meals using tools or ingredients outside of the controlled kitchen environment. The articles reporting this event often mention that the inmates purchase ingredients from the commissary and use makeshift tools like ID cards as cutters to prepare the food over 2 days. This scale of communal, unsupervised cooking, this is for 1,000 people, is highly likely to be considered a serious violation of rules regarding sanitation, fire hazard, and unauthorized organization. Now, here's the thing. You can say that Diddy might have money and he got guards in his pocket and the prison in his pocket, which I think is what he's trying to imply, because Diddy has this pathological need to be running everything. But let me just say this. The POs that turned Diddy in, that got him 30 extra days, that took away some of his privileges, baby, they own his ASS, belt to ASS, right? So it leads me to believe that somebody in there don't like you. And the thing is, Diddy literally, and for Diddy to publicly come and take credit for this, like, yeah, I did it, it was me, it's such a severe violation on such a large scale. Diddy would either be in trouble, be in the hole for solitary confinement, because the fact that not only would they allow this, but they would allow him to put public press releases out, he would get extended jail time, and he would be in deep trouble for publicly, flagrantly breaking the rules. They also was like distributing food to 1,000 inmates across every housing unit requires a complex operation that must be officially sanctioned, supervised, and staffed by correctional officers. Allowing a large-scale inmate-led distribution to circumvent the standard chow hall process would compromise institutional security and control. which correctional staff are typically unwilling to permit. And while an inmate can spend money from the commissary account, the purchasing of bulk ingredients necessary to feed 1,000 people would likely be scrutinized. As a matter of fact, each inmate has a cap on how much money they can spend a month at the commissary, okay? I think it's like $250. And I didn't know this, but this is actually really sad. They actually increased the prices of food in the commissary. So if a bag of chips outside is $1.39, it's like $7 in the commissary. They charge the inmates out, which they really need to stop. I mean, not for Diddy, but for all the other inmates, it's too much, right? They said the movement and storage of such a massive amount of commissary inventory would be extremely difficult to conceal from staff. They went on to say, more importantly, right, the one reason why they're like, Diddy has to be lying, this couldn't have happened, is because the Bureau of Prisons, Diddy might be able to buy into them, but they're still under the feds. They still have a bigger watchdog. Listen to this. The Federal Bureau of Prisons and the Department of Justice have strict oversight. Failure of the SOPs, that's the staff of prisons. Every prison has a detailed standard operation procedures for food handling, sanitation, security, and distribution of any item, especially food. An unsanctioned event of this magnitude will represent a clear failure of following SOPs by the supervising officers, the lieutenant, and more importantly, the warden. Allowing inmates to coordinate an event that requires purchasing bulk ingredients, cooking for 1,000 people, and distributing it to every housing unit suggests either gross negligence or potential corruption on the part of the staff. Both are grounds for immediate, and this is for the whole jail, everybody that works there, administrative action, termination, and potentially criminal investigation by the DOJ's Office of Inspector General, the OIG, and the unauthorized large-scale organization of any activity, especially when involving distributing food or items across the facility, is a major security risk. It creates an opportunity for contraband movement, drugs, weapons, God knows what else, and that that is exactly what the prison system is designed to admit. They also said that the personal and supervisor liability. Individual officers would be at fault. Correctional officers and their supervisors can be held personally liable in civil court under the Bivens lawsuit and subject to internal investigation for negligent performance of duties and operational errors. Permitting a breach of security and sanitation of this scale falls directly into this category. And the wardens and administration. The warden and associate wardens are responsible for the entire institution. If an OIG inspection found such a massive breach, their careers will be jeopardized. The Federal Prison Oversight Act has increased the pressure on administrators by requiring regular public risk scoring and inspection of federal facilities, okay? One more thing. Anyway, the Bureau of Prison experts and the legal experts says it is highly improbable that a Bureau of Prison official would risk their entire career, potential legal action, and a criminal investigation to allow a celebrity inmate to flex by organizing an event that violates core security and sanitation procedures. Okay? Again, and they said on top of that, many other reports confirmed that Fort Dix were served, all the prisoners were served the standard Bureau of Prisons Thanksgiving meal, which includes choices like roast turkey or soy chicken, cornbread dressing, and holiday dessert. The existence of a standard official meal further undermines the idea that a separate, massive, unsanctioned feast was allowed to take place concurrently over the entire prison for every single inmate. But they said once more, Diddy is literally, his arms are too short to box with God. Because they said the most important thing is, with Diddy publicly taking credit for this, if it's true, it guarantees a disciplinary action for breaking all the rules. They said federal inmates must display exemplary compliance with institutional disciplinary rules to maintain their privileges and earn time off their sentence. By publicly taking credit for an unsanctioned large-scale event, Diddy will be providing the Bureau of Prisons with all the evidence they need for disciplinary infractions, which could lead to more loss of good conduct time. This is the most serious consequence. He's already been faced with those 30 days. Extra, losing good conduct time or time credits earned under the First Step Act the FSA, means he would have to serve a longer sentence. It also would result in loss of privilege. He would lose access to commissary funds, phone access, which he's reportedly already faced discipline for, and visitation rights. For severe infractions such as this, related to organization and security risks, an inmate can be placed in the disciplinary segregation or the whole solitary confinement. And it compromises his legal standing. Publicly boasting about flouting prison rules undermines any future appeals or requests for early release, as it shows a disregard for authority and a lack of institutional rehabilitation. It is undermining his own legal strategy, which is why myself and a bunch of people feel that Diddy is a liar. And at this point, it's becoming pathological. Why can't you just let the fact is with Diddy's so stupid and his ego so big, you'd be better off just putting your head down, letting people think you crying in your cot at night, and just serving your time quietly and getting out whenever you can, whether that's early or not. By doing all this stuff and being exposed as a liar, he looks even more psychopathic than he did at the trial. Like, there's something wrong with that man. Again, you got to look at the bigger picture of Diddy's trial. He's trying to get his release date pushed up through good behavior and participation in programs like the chaplain assistant role he reportedly has, which they also said the chaplain doesn't have an assistant. He just got people working in his office. Again, it is pathological Diddy's need to boast and pluck his feathers for what he is. They said organizing a secret feast will be seen as charitable, sure, on the outside, and it's viewed as an act of defiance and unauthorized organization inside. Taking public credit for this while simultaneously working to earn early release through good behavior is a profound contradiction. Now, I know there's going to be some dummies being like, no, what are you talking about? Diddy got things on lock. His money can buy everything. His money cannot buy the warden. And even if he can buy the warden, can't buy the Department of Justice or the Southern District of New York or the warden's boss. Again, this is a grand scale. This is like hearing Diddy threw a rave at the prison. I know it's Thanksgiving, googie googie gaga, but if he threw a rave, he would be in a party. He would be in the same amount of trouble. All right. Again, one, they're saying, listen, if the event happened, it must have been very, very exaggerated. Maybe it was a really, really small, less organized, and it was done with tacit, unofficial approval of low-level officers who would never admit it publicly, then wildly inflated by his PR team to maximize the positive coverage, right? And I think his PR goal outweighed the risk. His team believed the public image repair was so crucial that they were willing to risk the inevitable disciplinary action, which they could then frame as him being punished for his generosity. I don't think this happened. If it did happen, it probably happened on such a small scale. Maybe like, I don't know, the gang members and Diddy had like the Last Supper. I don't know, but whatever it is. And that way, I guess he wouldn't look like a liar. Because when people are like, what you mean he fed everybody? Diddy could be like, yo, I don't know how that got out. You know, I just did with me and my friends. Yeah, we know how it got out. You are a liar. And not only that, you are trying to stand on the backs of people that are quietly doing their time and repaying their debt to society. Diddy is, what is the word? Pathetic. But there's something, mark my words, he's not going to last on probation. There is something seriously wrong with that man. And maybe you do got to be something really wrong with you to really rise to the height of a billionaire, but there's something wrong with him. It's pathological. I don't know. That's my opinion. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. But anyway, the takeaway is Diddy is a liar. Anyway, bye.